Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Dear students, Assalamu alaikum. I am Dr. Khurram Shahzad, and today we are going to talk about pragmatics. I intend to make a number of lectures on pragmatics so that we should be able to cover different aspects of pragmatics in detail. For example, some of the very important concepts or theories in pragmatics are the concept of deixis, the speech act theory, the concept of implicature, politeness theory, etc. Since this is an introductory lecture, I will be talking about what pragmatics actually is and how we can define pragmatics and how we can differentiate between semantics and pragmatics. And the other concepts that I have just enlisted, they will be covered later on in different other lectures. Charles Morris in 1979 was concerned with the study of the science of signs, which he called semiotic. He distinguished three branches of semiotics: syntax, which studies the formal relation among different signs; semantics, the study of the relation between the sign and the objects they denote; and pragmatics, the study of the relation of signs to their interpreters. So, when we talk about interpreters, it means that people. So, in pragmatics, people are involved. The word pragmatics derives from the Greek word pragma, which means matter, thing, but also it means action. So, first of all, we should look at some of the definitions of pragmatics. Different people have given different definitions. One of the definitions of pragmatics is that it is the study of speaker meaning. And here, when we talk about speaker, it means author as well. Pragmatics is the study of contextual meaning. Pragmatics is the study of how more gets communicated than it is said. It means that when we are communicating with people, we are communicating so many things. So sometimes, whatever we have said, we are conveying more, we are communicating more. And here we need to differentiate between form and function. Of course, meanings are communicated through form, but the kind of words that we are making use of, what kind of role they are performing, what kind of function they are performing in the context, it is very important to understand that how those things they get communicated to the reader, how those things they get communicated to the listener. So the role of context is also very important. That is why in the previous definition, it is said that pragmatics is the study of contextual meaning, because language resides in context. And when we talk about context, in some other lectures, I have already talked about mnemonic device, that is speaking, where context S, which is setting, it is very important to understand. And in context, there will be a detailed lecture later on. Pragmatics is the study of the expression of relative distance. Now we need to understand that what is the difference between semantics and pragmatics. Semantics is the study of dictionary meaning. Semantics is the study of denotative meanings, where we try to analyze that how meanings they have been explained in the dictionary. We have already talked about word pig, for example, and for example, in our culture, Pakistani culture, pig is not considered something good. So the element of dirt is attached with pig. Now, the dictionary is not explaining that pigs are dirty. Rather, dictionary will explain that it is an animal who has got four legs and a tail, okay, something like that. But the dirt, the meaning dirt that we are attaching with the word pig, these are the associative meanings. So usually denotative meanings or associative meanings to some extent, okay, they are explained or they are talked about in semantics. Semantics talks about the meanings of words, phrases, and sentences. But going beyond the sentence, how the sentence is spoken by the person, how the sentence is spoken by the speaker, how the sentence is written by the author, the role of pragmatics comes in. So, pragmatics is the study of meaning in context. Pragmatics is the study of meaning, that how they have been communicated by the speaker or by the author, how the meanings they are being interpreted by the interpreter. So, interpreter is a person. So, it means that inference is involved. The concept of explicature and implicature, they are involved, and they will be dealt with in other videos in detail. But for example, usually, it is said that diplomat says yes, he means perhaps. When a diplomat says, perhaps, he means no. And when a diplomat says no, he is not a diplomat. So, diplomat is not supposed to say no. Diplomat is supposed to say yes or perhaps. Same is the case, these are the things that people attach with women. When a lady says no, she means perhaps. When a lady says perhaps, she means yes. And when a lady says yes, she is not a lady. Now, these are the things, that we do in our conversation when we are interacting with the people. Of course, as I have already told you, that when people they are interacting with each other, they know the background of that person. They know the person very well. They understand the person very well. Here we are following the book Doing Pragmatics, and the author shares a very small talk in which there are only 5 turns, but then there is a lot of discussion that we can generate on. For example, what is your name by the way? One speaker is saying, what is your name by the way? Author is saying he overheard this conversation between two students. Now, by the way looks very strange. Usually, we do not talk and we do not ask the name of the person by using the word by the way. The answer comes Stephen, and then he does not speak. Then again, the first person says, you haven't asked my name back. You haven't asked my name back. So then the second person says, okay, what's your name? It's Pat. So it is referring back to the antecedent. Okay, so it is deictic here, cohesive device here. But overall, when we are interacting with the people, the person you know well, you have lot of expectations from that person. You know the person very well. The person is saying hello, how are you, and you just say fine, and you do not ask how are you in return. It shows that your behavior is very indifferent. It shows that you are not taking interest in that person. It shows that you are angry maybe with that person. And of course, the other person will also be interpreting, will also be inferring from your answer that right now you are angry or you are not interested in talking. So that is why one of the definitions was that lot of things they get communicated when they are not actually said. So inference plays a very important role. Okay, so here in this conversation, by the way, it gives a very odd, different meaning to the first person who has said, second person who has said that you did not ask my name. So it shows that the person is not interested in talking. Then there are so many other examples in the very first chapter of doing pragmatics that I intend to discuss. But before we move on, we need to understand the concept of appropriacy. So we need to know that how much appropriate language we are going to use. Remember, semantics provides foundation for pragmatics, and the whole building that you are going to build, it will be standing on semantics. The kind of words, phrases, and sentences that the author has spoken or the writer has written, they have provided us with the base, they have provided us with the foundation. But how the person has uttered that sentence, this is the role of pragmatists, that how you are going to understand the behavior of the person, how you are going to infer what is said and what is not said, and a lot many things which have been communicated. So appropriacy, when we talk about appropriacy, the role of context is very important. Again, we will have to see that who is saying something to whom, what is the relationship of the speaker with the hearer, and how much understanding the speaker and the hearer they have got with each other, whether they know their belief system, whether they know the belief system of each other or not, whether they know the background knowledge of each other or not, and how much, you know, frank they are with each other. For example, you are staying in a hotel and the waiter comes to you. Now, there are two sentences here. Is it tea or coffee? Or would you like tea or coffee? And the author asks that what do you think? The waiter is going to ask on the very first meeting or in the coming meetings. So, of course, the formal sentence is would you like tea or coffee? This is what we are expecting from the waiter that he or she should ask. And I, as a hearer, is not expecting, I am not expecting that this person is going to say this sentence to me on the very first day. So we have to be very formal. Would you like tea or coffee? But if my stay is longer, I am staying in that hotel for a month, and on the 15th day, the waiter can simply ask me tea or coffee. Now he is not going to say, would you like? Because we have developed some relationship. We have known each other for some time and we know the taste of each other. So simply, is it tea or coffee or tea or coffee? It will be appropriate. So we will have to see the context. We will have to see the setting, that how, what is the setting and what is your role there. Of course, when the setting changes, my role changes. When the setting changes, my relationship with my colleagues, it changes. The same person who is very close friend of mine and I am sitting in his office, I will simply speak in Punjabi. सुनदा क्यों नहीं मेरी? But the person, he is in a gathering and he is right now very senior to me. No doubt he is my friend. I will have to be formal with that person where all the other people are there. I will have to see that what kind of language I am supposed to use within that context, which is appropriate for me as well as for my hearer, who will be the speaker later on. So, appropriacy. Then, non literal and indirect language. In pragmatics, later on we will be talking about speech act theory, and of course, we have got assertive sentences, declarative sentences, interrogative sentences, expressive sentences, but the language that we are using, the form that we are using, it may not function in all contexts in the same way. In Urdu, whenever I enter the classroom, I say Assalamu alaikum and I ask my students, how are you? It is not a real question. When I meet someone daily and I ask him, how are you? It is not a real question. Today, I just took my class on Google Meet and all the students were there and I was there. I could see them, they could see me. But even then, they said, how are you, sir? And I said, I am okay. Or my answer was, Alhamdulillah, which literally means all praise be to Allah. But here, Alhamdulillah means I am okay. So there is no one on one relationship in form and function when we talk about pragmatics. So all every time teacher says, shall I begin now? So he is not asking you, it is just a question, okay? It is just a starter that the person has uttered. So, how are you is not a real question. But if I go to a hospital to see some of my friends who is very ill, or to some of my relatives who is very ill, and then I say, how are you? It is a genuine question right now. And its answer is again dependent on the context. Its answer is again dependent on the kind of relationship that you are enjoying with the person. If your relationship is distant, if your relationship is not is formal, if your relationship is not casual, is not very close, again the person will say, Alhamdulillah, मैं बिल्कुल ठीक हूँ. But if your relationship is very close, the person may tell you the real situation कि यार अभी ठीक नहीं हूँ. I am much better right now, or I am not much better right now, or still I have got pain, or I am suffering. So it all depends on the kind of relationship that you are having with that person. But there the question was real, how are you? Then another example which the author shares is, I am a man. So maybe he says this is uttered by a woman. So if woman is very powerful in home, or if woman is very powerful in the institution where she is holding power, where she is holding the floor, where she speaks and everybody listens to her, and she is very aggressive right now, and she's saying, I am a man, or I am the man. So here man is giving altogether different meaning. Her gender has not changed, that from a woman she has not turned into a man, but of course I am a man is giving different meaning. So we are not supposed to look at the literal meaning of words. Even if this sentence is uttered by a man, if the man is holding power, if the man is holding the floor, if the man is holding power in home or in the institution, it has got so many other meanings that we can think of, that we can interpret, keeping in mind the context in which it is uttered or by the person who has uttered. Then we need to understand some of the other things. For example, misfires. If context is not understood, then the utterance which is uttered by a person, it may misfire. Sometimes the context determines the role. Molvi Sahab, the religious scholar who has got power to announce that I announce you husband and wife, when he says this thing, everybody accepts. And if I, as a teacher, in that situation say that I announce you husband and wife, nobody is going to listen to me. Nobody is going to accept it because I am not a religious scholar. I do not have that power which a religious scholar has. So only he can say that I announce you husband and wife, and then people they become husband and wife, or even the president of Pakistan or prime minister of Pakistan cannot do this thing in that context. So, pragmatics, the role of context is very important. Remember, contextual meanings, you are dealing with pragmatics. And the role of the people, that how they are producing the language, with whom they are producing the language, what is the social context, what is the cognitive context, what kind of language he or she is using, and what he is communicating by not saying it. What is the behavior? I shake hand with someone and I shake hand very warmly. I am conveying a different message. And when warmth is not there, I am shaking the hand, my feelings and emotions are not there. I am conveying different meaning to that person. So your feelings and emotions they are involved with the language. And this is what the role of the pragmatists is to understand. This is what the role of the analyst who is going to interpret the language. It is very important to understand. So we need to understand that how language is used in the context by a person and with whom he or she is interacting, and how language is produced, what kind of mode is being used by the person. Still, the language that I am speaking it, but I am making use of my non verbal communication, my hands, my gestures, my facial expressions. All these things, they are conveying whatever the language I am using. So we need to understand that how pragmatics it works. In the end, I would like to summarize that today we have discussed what is the difference between semantics and pragmatics. Semantics deals with dictionary meaning, and pragmatics deals with contextual meaning, or how language is used by the speaker, or how language is used in the context by the speakers or by the authors. Remember, pragmatics is built on the foundation provided by semantics. Okay, that is all for today. Thank you very much.